Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon.
I kept quiet for 41 years, but after what Melissa said at my husband's funeral, I couldn't take it anymore. I had just buried the man I spent my life with, and already they were trying to bury me, too. I could have stayed silent. I could have walked past the table, pretended I hadn't heard, but I did hear it. Every syllable sank into me like cold iron. Helen, that's me. 65. A widow freshly minted by the cruelty of time. My husband Robert had passed 3 days before. 41 years of marriage folded into an urn that sat on the altar just feet away. We were having a small reception after the funeral. There were Lee's egg salad sandwiches, people in dark suits offering polite, forgettable words. I stood next to the fireplace, refilling coffee when I heard Melissa's voice. She was laughing. Not a full laugh, but a tight, quiet one, the kind you let slip when you think you've already won. My daughter-in-law, always smiling with her mouth, never with her eyes. Honestly, I don't even think she knows yet. Melissa whispered to another woman, her tone sweet but sharp. But Daniel says the house and everything else is in his name now. She'll need to find a place soon. I mean, it's too big for one person anyway, right? My hand tightened around the coffee pot. Each word hit like a nail into my spine. She doesn't even know yet, as if I were some confused stranger, not the woman who lived and built that house with Robert. Daniel says, my son, my own flesh and blood, discussing my future like I was an obstacle. Everything's in his name now, as if I had no place, as if I was never part of what we built together. She'll need to find a place soon. They had decided, without me, without so much as a word. Too big for one person. Was I not worth the space anymore? Melissa said it all without a second thought. Her voice calm, her words casual. She made it sound like they were doing me a favor. Then she kept going. I mean, Robert was always a traditionalist. He made sure Daniel would be taken care of. It's better this way. She needs to downsize. It's time. I stood motionless, letting the steam from the coffee cloud my glasses. He made sure Daniel would be taken care of. And what about me? Did they think I would just disappear? It's better this way for who? Certainly not for me. She needs to downsize, a tidy way of saying they wanted me out. It's time. As if they'd been waiting for this. As if my husband's death was just a stepping stone. I glanced across the room. Melissa stood tall in her black dress, her hair perfect, makeup untouched by tears. She hadn't cried, not once. She had organized nothing. I had handled every call, every flower, every chair that was placed in that room. But there she was playing hostess, accepting compliments. You did such a beautiful job, someone told her. She smiled and said, it's what Robert would have wanted. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake her, ask her how she could be so cold. Instead, I sat down in the corner of the room, alone, invisible, listening. Melissa wasn't done. We've already looked at listings. Daniel doesn't want to make a big deal of it. He thinks she'll understand. It's not personal, just practical. Looked at listings for my replacement life. Doesn't want to make a big deal because facing me would mean facing what they were doing. She'll understand because I always did. I always stayed quiet. Not personal, just practical. That was the line that broke me because everything she said felt personal. Every word. Chipped away at the life I had built. The memories came fast. The first time I met Melissa, she commented on my dress. Said it was cute in a vintage way. I was wearing it because Robert loved it. She once told me, you've done a good job raising Daniel. Now it's our turn, as if I was supposed to hand him over. She changed our family traditions. Thanksgiving, Christmas, everything became her version. I was told my recipes were too heavy and my decorations too busy. She rearranged my kitchen without asking. Threw away my mugs, replaced them with plain white ones, said they looked cleaner. She told Daniel I didn't need to be consulted for big decisions to take the stress off me. Every step she pushed, and I stepped back. But the worst part, The part that truly broke me was Daniel. He let her. He used to call me every week, ask for advice, tell me about work. But after Melissa, months would pass without a word. When Robert fell in the kitchen, I called Daniel. Melissa answered. She said they were out. Is it serious? She asked, already annoyed. They didn't come. That was the day everything changed. Robert never walked the same again. Still, I said nothing. I kept the peace because I thought that's what love was. But now, at my husband's funeral, Melissa had made her move. She wanted the house. She wanted everything. And Daniel, my boy, stood by watching it happen. I looked at him as he poured another glass of wine. He glanced my way, then quickly looked down. That was when I knew they were planning to erase me. Robert had warned me. Sitting in his chair one quiet afternoon, he had looked at me and said, if they ever try to make you feel small, the will won't let them. At the time, I didn't ask what he meant. Now I did. I stood up and left the room. I climbed the stairs, each step feeling heavier than the last. Our bedroom was still the same. His sweater hung on the back of the door, his slippers by the bed. The room smelled like cedar and clean sheets. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the window. Snow had started to fall. Downstairs, I heard Melissa's voice again. I mean, she's had a good life. It's time she lets Daniel take the lead. Let him take the lead. I wasn't stepping down. I wasn't done. I wasn't ready to be pushed into the background of my own story. I took a deep breath. They had made a move. Now it was my turn. I didn't sleep that night. I lay on Robert's side of the bed, staring at the ceiling in the dark, listening to the hum of the old radiator. The silence felt heavier than the grief. I wasn't just mourning my husband. I was mourning everything that had been taken for granted. There's a kind of pain that doesn't scream. It just sits inside you waiting. That was the pain I carried now. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table, the same one Robert built with his hands in our first year of marriage. My fingers traced the little dents in the wood, ones from years of family dinners, school projects, birthday candles. I stared at my untouched tea as the memory swelled. I thought about Daniel as a boy, dragging a stool over to help stir the batter while Robert teased him for sneaking chocolate chips. I remembered Melissa's first dinner with us, how she smiled too much and barely touched her food. I had made a roast. She told Daniel later it was too dry. He told me laughing like it was harmless. It hadn't felt harmless. And then it all came back in waves. Not just yesterday at the funeral, but everything. Everything I had tolerated. Melissa used to call me Helen in front of others. But your mother, when talking to Daniel like I was an accessory to be managed. One Thanksgiving, she moved the place cards around so she and Daniel could sit at the head of the table. I was told kindly that I could sit by the window. Better lighting, she said. Every action was small, meant to look harmless, but I felt each one and I remembered them all. She told me once after Robert had started to forget things, you should think about assisted living. It's a lot to manage alone. I wasn't alone. I was his wife and I managed. I bathed him. Lied. You did that yourselves. I'm just making it official. Daniel looked at me. Not angry, not pleading, just tired. I didn't know, he whispered. But you didn't ask. Then I paused. I hadn't planned to say it, but the words came anyway. Do you remember? I said, turning to Daniel when you were 12 and you got the flu so bad I didn't sleep for 3 nights straight. Melissa was the one who said I was hovering too much. Even back then I should have seen it. He blinked, caught off guard. Melissa looked away. And you? I continued, turning to her. When you told me I was lucky you were willing to help with Thanksgiving that year, but you threw away every recipe I left on the counter and called them outdated. I stayed silent for him, for Robert, for Daniel. The silence cracked and something shifted. I could have yelled, but I chose to remain silent for my son. I let myself disappear piece by piece. Until now, Daniel swallowed hard. He wasn't used to hearing this part of me. I leaned forward. I paid for everything. The house, The food in your fridge when you couldn't cover rent. I covered your first down payment. I even paid for Melissa's certification course when she said she wanted to be more independent. And still you both sat in this living room and decided I didn't belong. I took a breath. My hands were steady. My voice didn't shake. This reminded me of the day my father kicked me out with those same words. It's time you move on. I didn't fight then. I had no choice. But I'm not that girl anymore. The air was heavy. Melissa didn't speak. She couldn't. Daniel looked at the documents again, as if hoping they might vanish. You made a choice, I said. Finally. Now I'm making mine. I stood not to leave to end the conversation. You can go now. Melissa looked like she wanted to argue, but she didn't. She turned toward the door. Daniel followed, but before he left, he looked back. I'm sorry, he said. I didn't reply. The door closed. I sat back down, folded the documents neatly, and placed them back into the envelope. Outside, the snow was still falling, and inside, for the first time in years, it felt like my home again. They didn't call the next day or the day after that, but on the third morning, the silence broke. It started with a message from Melissa. Not a phone call, just a clipped text. We need to talk. It's urgent. I didn't respond. Then Daniel tried. Mom, please. Let's just talk. Still, I said nothing. That afternoon, a car parked outside my house. It stayed there for nearly an hour. The engine idled. Then it pulled away. They were watching, waiting, but I wasn't hiding. The calm I felt wasn't artificial. It wasn't performance. It came from the steady beat of knowing I had done nothing wrong, that I had loved, given, stayed silent, and endured, and that now I was simply done. By the fifth day, the phone started ringing, not just from them, but from others. My sister-in-law, a cousin from upstate, even Melissa's father. Helen, what's going on? They say you kicked them out of the will. No, I said I didn't kick anyone out. They removed themselves. The narrative was shifting fast, and Melissa was working hard to steer it. The sixth day, a letter arrived, hand-delivered, a formal tone, demanding clarity, questioning my legal standing, hinting at mediation. I read every word slowly, then slid it into a drawer. Let them scramble. Let them explain. What hurt quietly deeply was how quickly Melissa had turned to damage control. Not apology, not understanding, just control. I thought about the years I spent smoothing her path, the job connections I helped her find, the babysitting I offered when she had appointments, the gifts, the extra checks. None of that had earned me kindness. She had treated my care as currency, and now that it was gone, she was angry. She couldn't trade with it anymore. And Daniel, he stayed silent until the seventh night. My phone rang. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick it up. Mom. His voice was quiet, not performative, just tired. Melissa's furious. He said, she says, you've poisoned everything. That you made her look like a villain. I said nothing. She's embarrassed, he added, and I don't know what to do. I waited a moment, then asked, what did you say when she asked you to help me move out? Silence. That's what I thought. I said gently. I didn't think it would go this far, he said. You mean you didn't think I'd finally stand up? He sighed. No, I guess I didn't. There was a pause. Then he added, she's saying we should talk to a lawyer. Try to renegotiate. Maybe if you sign something, we could. No. The word landed like a stone in a pond. Final, clear. No more conversations about what if. No more bargaining. You had everything. My help, my heart, my home. You gave it up. I didn't mean to, but you did. There was nothing left to argue. The next morning, I received a message from Melissa. It was longer this time, measured but still manipulative. Helen, families go through rough patches. You're letting emotions cloud your judgment. We're willing to forgive everything if you'll just reconsider. Forgive everything. As if I was the one who needed forgiveness. As if my existence, my refusal to disappear, was the offense. I didn't respond. That night, my porch light flicked on. I opened the door to find Melissa standing there, Makeup perfect, expression tired. I just want to talk, she said. I stepped outside, but didn't invite her in. She tried to smile. You've made your point, but we're family. Don't you think this has gone far enough? You said the house was too big for me. I said that I needed to go. That's not what I meant. It's exactly what you meant. You're angry. That's fair. But Daniel and I, we were just thinking about what made sense, financially, structurally. You were thinking about what worked for you. She didn't deny it. We've lost clients, she added, her tone rising. Our business is suffering. Do you know what people are saying about us? That we took advantage of a grieving woman. That we schemed for your house. This is destroying everything we built. They're not wrong, I said. Melissa's eyes burned. This is your fault. You've turned everyone against us. You were supposed to be the supportive one, the quiet one. No, I said calmly. You decided I didn't matter. You only miss my silence now that it no longer benefits you. Helen, please, she snapped, voice cracking. You're tearing this family apart. I gave you everything, I said. And the one time I asked for nothing to grieve. In peace. You tried to take what little I had left. Melissa looked down, her voice lower. I didn't expect you to fight back. I know, I said. That's why you lost. Her eyes glistened, but no tears fell. Maybe they weren't real. Or maybe she had used up all her tears on the things she couldn't control anymore. I was good to you, she whispered. No, I said you were convenient to me. There's a difference. She said nothing. Do you know, I continued, I once can let a trip, Robert, and I planned for our anniversary because you called me crying that you and Daniel were fighting. I sat with you for 4 hours while you blamed him, then blamed me, then asked for money. You never said thank you, and I never brought it up. I took a breath, slow and steady. You said I was too sensitive, too involved. You rolled your eyes when I made suggestions, mocked my clothes behind my back, told Daniel I was clingy. I stayed silent for your comfort. Melissa's face twisted and her voice finally cracked. You're not the victim, Helen. You're bitter, controlling. You've been waiting to punish us. I didn't respond because she was wrong. I wasn't punishing them. I was simply done playing the part they wrote for me. But the most unexpected thing happened a week later. Daniel showed up alone. No warning, no text, just a knock on the door. He looked older, smaller, like the weight of what they'd done had finally settled on his shoulders. And what he said next, I'll never forget. Daniel stood at my door for a long time before I opened it. His shoulders hunched like they were carrying something heavy. In that moment, he didn't look like the man Melissa molded. He looked like the boy who used to fall asleep in my lap during storms. Can I come in? He asked. I nodded, not out of warmth, but because this conversation had to happen. He sat on the edge of the couch, like someone afraid to be comfortable. I left her, he said quietly. I didn't answer. My hands folded calmly in my lap. She said I was weak, that I let you humiliate her. He stared at the floor. I noticed the scuff on his shoe, the same kind his father used to wear. I didn't leave because of what she said, he added. I left because I realized she didn't love me. She loved what she could use through me. And the way she talked about you, it made me see things I didn't want to admit. He looked at me, eyes shining. I'm sorry, Mom. It hit me deeper than I expected. Not because I needed the apology, but because I thought I'd never hear one. I never protected you, he continued. Not once. I let her twist things. I let her make you the problem when all you ever did was take care of us. I let the silence sit between us for a long time. You let her speak for you, I finally said. For years, he nodded. I know, and I don't expect you to forgive me. I needed to tell you. That's all. We sat like that. No shouting, no tears, just truth. Then he did something I didn't expect from him. He reached into his coat and pulled out a photo. A picture of me and Robert taken during a picnic long ago. He placed it on the coffee table. She hated that picture, he said with a soft laugh. Said it made her feel like she'd never live up to it. But I always liked it. You look happy. I said before I started giving away pieces of myself. He stood. You don't owe me anything, but I'd like to visit someday if that's okay. I nodded, not with emotion, just with understanding. He left quietly just as he came. I walked to the window and watched him go. Alone. No Melissa. No entourage. Just a man starting over. That night, I sat in my kitchen and reread the letter the lawyer had sent. The estate was fully mine, the accounts, the property, the titles. But more than that, something else was mine for the first time in decades. My voice. They tried to erase me, tried to manage me like an inconvenience, but I stood my ground and they lost. I remembered the little things they did, the things that added up. Melissa taking over birthdays and deciding who was invited. Daniel letting her choose who got access to family photos. Her saying, "Let's keep the old stories short at dinner so we can stay on schedule." She meant my stories. Daniel didn't stop her. I remembered the day I was cleaning out the attic and Melissa walked in and said, "Why don't you donate this stuff? It's not like anyone cares about it anymore." It was Robert's box of letters to me from when we were still dating. That box still sits in my room, safe, untouched. The next few weeks were quiet, peaceful. I cleaned out the guest room, cleared out Melissa's storage bins, and boxed everything neatly. I sent them notice that their things would be donated by the end of the month, if not collected. I never heard back. Neighbors began to shift, too. One woman I barely knew from 2 houses down brought me cookies. Said, "I always wondered how you stayed so calm with everything going on. You've got real strength." I thanked her and we sat for tea. A simple good hour. I returned the house to the way it used to be. The older curtains came back. I replaced the sleek dining table with the heavy oak one Robert loved. I found the old family photo. Yes, the one Melissa. Tried to hide and hung it in the hallway. There was a moment one rainy evening when I stood in the living room and simply breathed. Nothing extraordinary happened, but I felt it. Peace. Not relief. Not vindication. Just peace. Then one afternoon I received a card. It wasn't from anyone I knew. The envelope was plain. No return address. Inside was a short message. "I saw how you handled them. I wish I had done the same with my own daughter. You reminded me that we're allowed to stop being silent. Thank you." No name, just those words. I sat at the table for a long time holding that card. Someone out there had seen, had understood. Melissa never came back. She stopped calling. She stopped trying. Daniel visited, slowly, cautiously. He helped fix a fence post one Saturday. Dropped off soup when I had a cold. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He just showed up. It wasn't what we used to have, but it was something. On what would have been our 42nd anniversary, I lit a candle beside Robert's photo. I didn't cry. I didn't speak. I just sat there with him in silence. I kept my promise, I whispered. They tried, but I remembered who I am. Outside, the wind stirred the trees and the snow fell again. A new layer over the old. Inside, the house was quiet, and for the first time in my life I realized I wasn't lonely. I was alone, but I was whole. And if you've ever felt like you don't belong, you're not alone.
Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon. Thanks for watching.